All right. As more people are joining, and it's 1 minute after 11, as we are speaking basically from Berlin, Germany, I think it's good that we kind of stick to a strict timeline here. So hi, everybody. A very warm greeting from Berlin, Germany. My name is Ariel Wu. I am the product marketing manager at Hubs 101. Today, we're gonna walk you through 4 tips on how to maximize your virtual event ROI. Very happy to be your host today. And before we jump right into the topic, just a little housekeeping here, that if during the presentation, during this webinar, you have any ideas that you'd like to show or like to share, or you have any questions you would like to pull up for us to discuss, don't feel shy. You can either post on the social wall that you can see on the right-hand side, or you can directly message me on the app, on the platform you're in right now, and I'm gonna be collecting them. So after our presentation, we can take a brief look at them and talk about and address your specific questions altogether. So without any further ado, let's get started. I am gonna share my screen with you. And also like another round of warm greetings to those people who slowly flow in. So can you see my screen okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also the virtual event ROI deck.
Yes.
Cool. So welcome everybody. Today we're gonna talk about how to maximize your return, the virtual event return investment. And we're gonna give you 4 tips. Before we jump right into the tips, let's talk about virtual events. Virtual events is definitely a buzzword since 2020, corresponding with the outbreak of the COVID virus. And now we can very much identify the fact that no matter if the COVID or the pandemic ever ends, virtual event is here to stay. So it's definitely very important for us to study the topic on how we can actually host a successful one. And if we actually launch a virtual event, well, how can we actually maximize the return so that we ensure that we launch a successful one and not just some other, just not launching, let's say, online video streams without any ensured returns on your investment. So virtual events, it gives you a broad reach. It eliminates the physical limits that you can reach out to the international audience. It also gives you a smart solution because in contrary to the traditional on-site events, that with virtual events, you can more easily follow suit on how your event is going, how many people actually register, and how are they interacting or engaging themselves with your events or during your event with one another. It is also very flexible, safe, it eliminates the physical limits. It is also way more sustainable compared to the conventional events, as you don't need to fly your attendees or speakers from all over the world. It is also very inexpensive, as we care the most that if in the past you need to throw a large amount of money just for one specific event on one specific venue, virtual events definitely gives you a cheaper option as a better alternative. So that's why we also need to talk about how we can actually calculate the ROI and also how we can actually maximize the ROI on your virtual events. So today we are very happy to be joined with Patrick Maisch, the head of business development at Hubs 101, who will be sharing his 12 years of experience in event management, event organizing, and also walk us through the 4 tips on the topic. So Patrick, very happy to have you today.
Thank you, Ariel. Hi, everyone. I'm Patrick. I'm the head of business development of Hubs 101. It's a pleasure to have you. So successful virtual events help organizations expand their brand awareness, become thought leaders, and retain existing customers and win new ones. But at the end of the day, only one thing matters to stakeholders, to most of them. Was the event profitable? So this is why Ariel and I want to guide you through 4 tips how you can maximize your return on investment for your virtual events. So the first thing you or your stakeholders need to do is to determine the size of your desired ROI for your virtual event and to set up goals. So how do you determine the ROI? So you have to decide whether to use the first order value to calculate the ROI or the so-called customer lifetime value, the average value of a customer during his entire customer lifetime. So what is an average ROI, especially for virtual events? So generally, we like to see a 10-to-1 ROI for any sales or marketing activity. But in regards to virtual event ROIs specifically, over 85% of customers who participated in a recent survey of WeConnect, that's Germany's biggest B2B conference organizer, want to see a ROI of 5-to-1 or 500% return on investment on virtual events. So meaning if you invest 10,000 euros, then they want to see at least 50,000 euros revenue from it. And most of them consider the average value of a customer during his entire customer lifetime. So how to calculate it? So the common method to calculate a virtual event ROI is you divide the net income by the net investment and multiply the value by 100. In this example, you would create a ROI of 500%. So Ariel, so now that we know how the majority is calculating virtual event ROI, what is necessary to set up the goals or what to consider?
Yes, thank you very much, Patrick. It's definitely a very good base that we start with. And now, as most of you have already had experience with ROI calculation, then let's jump right in about setting goals. It's definitely very important before you launch a virtual event that you set the goals that you actually want to reach with your event. We can take BENT framework developed by IBM in 2006 as an example. It's also a common strategy for most of the eventers. Before launching an event, definitely think about how much budget you would like to throw in this event. And then also how much authority that your attendee or potential attendee is, or your potential target audience that you wish to reach. So meaning that if you plan to reach to mostly decision makers, or actually even below the decision maker, people like employees who don't have the say is also within your reach or within your target. Then the third is going to be the need, that whether the product or the service that you are pitching, you're selling in your event is actually speaking to your audience. And it's definitely very important. Then the last one, not the least though, is the time. That how long is a time frame that you set for your expected target audience to actually convert, not like maybe during the event or even after event. Is it going to be right after the event or a quarter after event, or you expect up to even a year? So those are the factors that a conventional event organizer usually takes into consideration when setting up the goals. While in virtual event era, it's definitely a new era we are sitting in right now. We are still a pioneer. So definitely I would also highly suggest that beyond the BENT framework, think about the lead. The lead generation is definitely one of the hottest topics all the event organizers are focusing on, not only now, but like from before. But you have to think about, if you only want to generate leads, is the quantity how many leads that you can generate from an event. The one thing you actually cares about, or actually you also need to focus on the weight of each leads. Let's talk about individual leads, like how much revenue can one lead bring. Definitely, if one lead can bring 5K, it's not the same as one lead that can bring 10K in. Then also, you have to think about if your event is about to retain your existing customers, to build the strong bond with them, deepen the bond, boost engagement with the existing customers, to also build up the loyalty, or actually want to acquire the new one to gain more revenue from this event, or to actually seal more deals. And also, if your event, as now we're talking about virtual events, as say, it eliminates the physical limits. So maybe you want to pitch your events to the international market. That's also one thing that you should take into consideration when setting the specific goals for your events. And now we have walked you through the first tip of setting a goal for your virtual events. Patrick, what else do we need to think about?
So thank you, Ariel, your audio, for talking about how to set up goals. The second tip we want to give you is to provide value and create a memorable experience. So 12 months ago, it was still easy to get a lot of reach and attention and to place a message throughout your events. But in the last few months, the rules of the game have changed completely. And more virtual events, webinars, trade shows were initiated, and more professional content has made it harder and harder to create an unmistakable and unforgettable experience. For this reason, we helped our customers to stick out, make their event more memorable and enjoyable. So how to do it? So optimally, you use a platform where you can do it. And in case you're not using a platform, you can still check for some similarities. So I will show you now how it looks on a platform. So we are here in the CM. Do you see that? Ariel, is it visible? Yeah, okay. So we're here in the CMS, and we can change the design of the event in an easy way. And for example, customize the theme color, logos, background images for all devices, and change header color and so on. And what's also important to say about customizing an event and make it individual is think about what white label opportunities you have. So for example, the domain, the favicon in the browser tab, branded emails, and much more. Another thing we highly recommend is to make agenda branding. So the most people register because of the content. But of course, you make the content more attractive if you add, for example, images, teaser videos, that will really help to make it more attractive. And of course, don't forget to integrate speaker information and to upload, download information. So also ensure that your virtual events contain some content about your company. So for example, in the exhibition, therefore show you what you can do, integrate logos, and we will have a few in the front end, how that looks like. Maybe I take a shortcut. So here you see the company information, the contact details, some videos, some team information, attachment information, and linked sessions. And for example, also image advertising. So that would be one more tip. Yeah? You have to customize your event to make it more memorable and enjoyable. And the third tip to maximize your return on investment is to encourage participation and interaction. And one way to foster participation and interaction is by activating your teams, so foremost sales teams. So because a big problem is that the no-show rate is constantly increasing based on the more and more online events. And a registered lead, I would say, is not as valuable as a participant who watches sessions or optimally interacts. So that's why we advise companies to push their salespeople to engage with attendees on LinkedIn and ask about their participation, for example, motivate to give information prior to the event, for example, to fill out the profile in the event app. And I think it's important to say that your team should lead by example and start doing it. And so the best time to do it is actually 2 days prior to an event or webinar, but also arrange meetings for the time after the event. So companies who activate the sales teams for that, they can not only decrease the no-show rate, but also increase the sales significantly. So in general, this is a fantastic driver to get more out of your event. And it is also driving the interaction, but there are more ways to encourage it and to get more information from participants and also data. So for example, this event wall, in fact, is driving interaction. So for example, if people share polls, opinions, content, or product information, and more. So another way to drive interaction significantly is to use AI matchmaking functionalities. So we, for example, match profile information, but also onboarding questions. Not sure if some of you filled it out. Would be happy if you would do it afterwards, to test the matching functionalities. So what's very easy, very important is that you make it easy for people to share the information. So for example, use LinkedIn integrations. That's available for all platforms. So then I would say people love to do it, to give you information, and you later have the chance to filter attendees by their matching content, or even filter by individual questions. So you could check who's believing in virtual events. Happy that many filled it out. So you should also enable video one-to-ones and meetings. And also ensure that people can follow the event on a mobile phone. So because we figured out that around 15% of attendees of a virtual event are joining with their phone or tablet. So our goal is to make networking fun and easier. So should you. So there are many ways. For example, so what we do is to provide a business Tinder on our native app. So I will show you this. Oops. swipe to the left if you don't want to meet them, or swipe to the right if you want to arrange a meeting with them. So, and if you want to know how we help customers increase networking and participation in general, when to write, for example, or what to write, I can send you a guide afterwards. Just let me know. And to provide all the information that people can network on, especially in countries with strict GDPR policies, you need to motivate people to share the information. And how do you do this? So you provide or you give them benefits to show the information. So for example, we provide to every attendee, for example, personal networking statistics, or we provide leads to all these analytics, so that people can directly act on. Yeah, so I think what you can also say that the analytics help to measure the success, but what else can help to measure the success, Ariel?
Thank you, Patrick. That's definitely very insightful. So now, assuming that we have already set the goals and also, as Patrick suggested, provide very valuable content. So to make the whole virtual event experience as memorable and as enjoyable as possible for our attendees. And also we engage them, we boost engagement, boost interaction among them and also with them. If we have done all these 3 tips, then we can come to the last final tips, which is how to maximize it. Just gonna share my screen with you quickly again. So now we walk you through 3 tips. Then, assuming we have done the right thing, and just to give you a scenario play, if you actually launch a virtual event, how would it look like? Suggest or assuming that you have thrown in the cost as listed on the screen, probably 5K on the event platform if you're using physical, if you're launching a virtual event. If not, then probably 5K on the event venue, and another 5K for the labor costs, another 1K for material production. But just also a disclaimer: these are just very humble, let's say, assumption for a scenario play. And with this cost, you generate probably 200 registrations with your event, from which probably 100 to 150 are active or actually came to your event, and from which you reach out, from those you reach out to, probably you got 80 warm leads out of them. And let's assume one deal weighs around 5K dollars or euros. Then you probably seal a deal in the same quarter, like for 10 deals in total, which generates 50K gross revenue. And for the ROI calculations, just simply walking you through, in the end, it will be 350% returns on investment. Well, as said, it's a humble assumption to just give you a taste of how it actually looks like, but bear the thought and also bear the fact that actually launching virtual event on an event platform, on a virtual event platform is, let's say, a said, way cheaper and also much more flexible, meaning that as we put into the calculation, 5K for event platform, if it's gonna be an annual license, then probably, or actually the cost per event is gonna be greatly reduced, because then you can divide it up to 12 months and it's only $100 per month compared to 5K thrown into an event venue only for one single event. Virtual event is definitely a much more flexible and also way cheaper alternative for you in the virtual event era. And also considering like the hosting one on the professional event platform, which will definitely guarantees a memorable and enjoyable event experience for you as well as for your attendees. So that's the whole package of how one can calculate and also maximize the returns on your virtual event. But also, as mentioned in the beginning, while we set the goals, if you also depending on different organizations or different individuals' needs, probably you also need to calculate a lead's engagement rate, how highly they are interested or how highly they interact actually within the event and with you as an organizer. And also, if you aim to broaden your brand awareness across the globe, does your event actually reach that goal? So definitely take those factors also into consideration while calculating your ROI and think about how to maximize it. And as also just showed to you, with these new factors that come into play in the new virtual event era, having real-time data and analytics about your attendees, about your global reach is definitely a plus that makes your life as an event organizers much smoother. So that's the 4 tips we can share with you today. And without further ado, as I am sensing the ticking of the clock, I have gathered some questions from some of you sent directly to me. And wait a second. So the 2 questions I got from our attendees today. Yeah, there are 2, and one of them is, one of you asked about, so does it make sense actually to still to spend thousands of dollars for an event platform? And another question is something like how to stand out in the virtual event era. Judging from the questions, I think maybe Patrick, you can take the first question, and I'm happy to answer the second question. What do you say?
Okay.
Ariel, so just hopefully remember, right? So the question was, does it make sense to pay thousands for a virtual event platform, something like this, right? Okay. What would I say? So, so I would say that there are many disadvantages of not using a virtual event platform. So, for example, without branding, your event is less memorable, and yeah, you will definitely have a minor engagement. If you are just on Zoom, for example, you have only a chat. But with a platform, you would have the opportunity to arrange meetings prior to the event, post-event, during the event, to interact more, to place more information. And what I really like to highlight is to collect more data. And more data generated means more knowledge about the attendee intentions. So, and I would also say platforms are cheap. So because so take our example. So we have annual license which costs 2,000 euros. Then you can create multiple events with it all year long. Unlimited admins. Yeah. And you only have a cost per user price of 10 euros per registrant. And if you want our streaming solutions, a high-end streaming solution in full HD, for example, would only cost 400 euros per license. So I don't think creating virtual events is so expensive anymore. I think the time has never been better.
Thank you, Patrick. And before we all go, just one last question about how you can actually stand out in the virtual event era. So I would definitely suggest you from a marketing perspective, think about branding your event as, to the highest extent as much as possible, meaning that you can think about every small details that you are gonna present yourself in front of attendees. It could be so small as your event URL, your event's website, your event's login page. Everything matters when we are talking about the digital era. So a full white label solution will be a nice add-on, a nice plus for you and also your event. And also think about the engagement, think about how you can actually manipulate or monitor the data and the analytics to boost the engagement to as much as possible, as this is definitely, I would say, a challenge, but definitely also a new opportunity in the digital event era, meaning that yes, you cannot go directly to ask a person for a coffee at the corner, but if used right, you can reach out to a person at the right time to determine what is the right time to reach out to a person that will most likely leads to a meaningful results for both of you. And also, the last thing will be that right now we talk about virtual event is definitely here to stay even after the pandemic, but definitely always make it flexible. We are entering a new ground right now. We are all pioneers here. So who knows, in the future, think about how you can actually integrate virtual events into your on-site events to make it hybrid. Hybrid events is definitely also very important, and we need to, or like we as the whole, need to really think about how you can actually get the most out of it, not only in the virtual event era, but beyond the virtual event era, the new hybrid era. So that's all for it for now, as we are running 2 minutes more than originally planned. So I would say, again, a warm and also heartfelt thank you to all of you who spent the time tuning in on a Thursday morning, and really lovely seeing all of you. After the event, the recording will be published on the app soon, and we really wish to welcome you again, and hope you guys are having an amazing Q4, wrapping up 2021, all good, and entering 2022. Yeah, with amazing results coming. So see you guys next time.
Ciao.